we had always sort of jokingly said that Keene was the gangster cat of the neighborhood. But we didn't realize how true that was until we learned that this cat had been walking around with 2 bullets in his body. This is Keene. He's a fighter, a survivor, and very deserving of being America's favorite pet. When I moved to my new place a year ago, I noticed that there were several stray cats who lived in the neighborhood. And there was one old, rough-looking, scruffy cat who always seemed to have a scowl on his face. He was underweight, his fur was patchy, he was missing most of his teeth, one side of his mouth was crooked and droopy, and one eye squinted from a previous injury. The skin on the tips of his ears and nose was black from prolonged exposure to mosquitoes, fleas, and severe cold weather. I was told that he tended to be mean. He was famous on the block for having once chased 2 coyotes down the street. All the other stray cats respected him. Dogs, raccoons, and even some humans feared him. He even made the mailman apprehensive. One day, I decided to give Keene some food, and before long he was coming around every day for dinner, and then for breakfast, and eventually my front porch became his domain. Pretty soon, I discovered something interesting about this cat. This grumpy old man had a soft side. I still remember how surprised I was the first time I was bold enough to hold him in my lap, and how loudly he started purring. He was so receptive to being loved, and I adored giving him love. I eventually decided it was time to take this boy into the vet for an exam, and that's when we learned that he was FIV positive and was in the early stages of kidney disease. Fast forward to one day in the fall. I came home and noticed that Keene was really sick with a respiratory infection. His breathing was labored, he was limp, not eating, his eyes were constantly watering, and his nose was running so much that I was having to wipe it every few minutes to keep it from crusting over. Knowing he was immunocompromised, I was so scared that he would develop pneumonia, so I took him to a veterinary urgent care for lung x-rays. I'm sitting there in the exam room, and the doctor walks back in and says, well, his lungs look okay, but this cat has been shot twice. That's when she pointed to the pictures of the bullets on the x-ray, then pointed out that his sternum had also been broken at some point and healed on its own. It looks like the bullets had been there for quite a while, and the doctor assured me that it would be way too dangerous to try to remove them at this point. Long story short, I decided that however many lives this cat has already lived, it was time to start living his best one now, and he certainly has been. And it's amazing how tolerant he is, like when I dress him up as the spirit animal of Don Corleone and Keith Richards. He's definitely still ornery, and his crude street ways are sometimes off-putting to my other cats, but that's just who he is. Keene has traded the thug life for the good life, and he has definitely earned his stripes as the ultimate survivor. This is why I'm asking you to click the link and vote for Keene as America's favorite pet.